Now I will show you a short introduction to subplots. So for subplot, we want to call plt.subplots. This will create a simple subplot. Then we want to pass it to two different variables, the feature and axis. And now we want to say how many subplots we want. Let's say we want 2 rows and 2 columns. We say number of rows is 2 and number of columns is also 2. And then we also want to say how big the subplots should be. Let's say x equals this. So this will create our plots. And now we also need data to plot it. So let's take our y, first our x coordinates, and say we want some points from 0 to 10, and we want 100 of them. Then, because we want 4 different kinds of plots, we need 4 different y coordinates. So let's say y1 equals p dot sinus wave. And we want our x. Then let's say our next one is a cosinus wave. Then the next one. And the fourth one. What do we take? Let's take the decaying cosinus wave. This should be p dot exp of minus x times p dot cosinus. Okay, this will be our data. Then how to plot everything where we want it. For that we have the access object we already declared over here. This is a list of lists. So we say the first plot should be the simple plt.plot or our axis.plot. Then we pass x and y1. Now we do it for every other plot. So the next one, this will be the top right one. We plot the cosinus wave. Then the top left one. And last but not least, our decaying one. So now we have plotted everything, or we have set everything. And now plt.plot. We can see 4 different kinds of plots. Of course, looking at many different kinds of plots is not easy if you don't know what each one is. So we can set each title and everything else individually. So let's say our first one, we want to set the title. Then we say we want our sign. And also for every other kind of plot. And now change the indexes. And now we know everything. But you can see here, for example, it's a bit close together. So we can also add another command, the plt.title_layout command. This will automatically adjust the spacing between each subplot. And now you can see a bit better spacing. And now we also can do it in another way. This is nice to see, but if you use subplots, you will use it in a for loop most of the times. So for that, let's say we want to do 5 different kind of plots. Let's copy down, or let's copy this all down and change it so we can do it in a for loop. So now we have all our data by 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we will now put it all in a list. So we say data is by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4. So, and afterwards, we also want to set our titles in a list. So the first one is our sine, then cosine, then our tangent, and our decaying cosine. And okay, now we can simply iterate over the axis object. Okay, we delete this. Say, first want to flatten our axis. Because if we have our axis, it's a 2-dimensional array, and of course it's hard to iterate over it, so we flatten it to a 1-dimensional array. Then it's way easier to work with. So we have 4 data points, then we iterate over it. Say I in enumerate our let's enumerate over our titles. Then we simply say every time axis of I is, or axis of I dot plot, and then we plot over our data of I. And we say that our label, or we don't have to set a label, we simply set the title. So axis of I dot set title of titles of, or we already have a variable. So, okay, then we have the title, and that's it. Then we have the title layout, the plot, and now we will hopefully see perfect. So that's it for the subplots. You can also do it in another way, but this would be too much for this lecture. So have fun and try to maybe add another row, add another value to experiment with it. Have fun.